today, Susan Scott. And before Susan comes up, I'm going to take just a minute and introduce her. Susan is one of the most popular speakers that we have ever had for a family reunion. About 3 years ago, she did her Fierce Conversations keynote for us in Las Vegas, and we have never had any keynote that was used or enjoyed or more was learned from than that one presentation. And so Susan has written a new book called Fierce Leadership. And we are one of the first groups to get her new keynote on her new book that is about living a life worth living. So I'd like to introduce my very dear friend and a friend of Keller Williams, Susan Scott. Susan, come on out.
Thank you for having me. I feel like I've returned home because I had a wonderful time with you 3 years ago and have remained in contact with Mark and others within Keller Williams. Just ran into a Keller Williams person at the Starbucks near my home the other day. And now I'm back to talk with several thousand of what feels like good friends about fierce leadership, a bold alternative to the worst best practices of business today. And we're going to talk about 6 so-called best practices and reveal the problems that lie within them. And we're also going to practice something called Squid Eye, which I know you really enjoy, and I think is very important for anybody to get good at Squid Eye. But first I want to just tell you something that happened to me a couple months ago. I boarded a plane in Seattle, where I live and where our company is headquartered, to fly to Phoenix to give a keynote, and planned to spend most of the time on the airplane further customizing the talk for the client. That's always really important to me. And a guy sat next to me, and I could just tell that he was a talker. And you'd think if I'm in the business of conversations that I'd always be up for one, but I'm not, actually. I'd rather have fewer conversations in my life and my company and have them really be meaningful and productive and interesting rather than just talking all the time. So I did what I usually do to try to signal to my seatmate that I'm not interested in chatting, and I put on my headphones. I mean, don't you do that too sometimes? Yeah. Well, it didn't work. He just continued talking. He just talked louder. He leaned over and even tapped me on the shoulder. And I wasn't sure what he was talking about, but it sounded, I thought I was hearing the word cup holders. And I thought, cup holders? Okay, I seriously do not want to talk to this guy. And so I wanted to go to plan B, which is I usually bring along a book, and I've made up this fake cover for the book and this fake title. And I put it on my lap so that the person can see it, and then usually they decide they don't want to talk to me. And the title is Getting Out and Staying Out, a Female Felon's Guide to Life After Prison.